Coach, Tyrese had 22 points at halftime and was really playing well, and you switched up and put Nikhil on him in the second half, and he was largely ineffective by his standards in that second half. What prompted that change just to give him a different...
Well, we changed our pick and roll coverage on him. Is what happened. The matchup was impactful, but he just was where he was going where he wanted to go. And then we actually executed what we were trying to do. I think at the beginning of the first half, we were trying to impact him, and it's hard. We didn't impact him, and he was able to keep his dribble and then find people. So as the game went on, I thought both O and Jock did a really good job being up higher and forcing him to do a little bit more. A lot of his, I think when you look at the game, a lot of his points were in transition or open court. They were just driving us. So it wasn't not to take anything away from a matchup situation, but they have a bunch of guys that can do that. Watford was doing it, Oubre was doing it. So really having Dyson guard a bigger guy was part of that too. And we have confidence in both Nikhil and Dyson to guard the ball in those situations. And I would also say that he that's what he does, Max. So the thing you try to do is just make it harder. And in this case, it really requires everybody. They when he did get off the ball, we're going to give some things up. It's kind of pick your poison. But again, to your point, I think credit to Nikhil for being really kind of disciplined on the ball too, and not giving him anything easy. And then he had help from our bigs.
And speaking of impact, if you look at the box score, Zach had 8 points, 4 rebounds, but I thought he had a couple.
Here we go, talking about stats again, right?
No, I just want to talk about his defensive impact.
Thank you.
I thought
he changed the game for us during that stretch, and that's something that he's heard, and he's all in. So to have a player have success doing something like that, and the other thing he did, to your point, was the offensive glass. He had a few big possessions, and then again, as I've said, your shot just becomes part of your game. And, it's good to see someone rewarded, for doing things that basically he made winning plays, and we needed his size. When those matchup situations, we held him, took him out for a minute, give him a blow, and then got him back in. And obviously, I feel comfortable having CJ in the game late, especially if we've got a lead. And Zach was part of why we got that lead.
Sorry, just one more on that, because Zach, he missed
You get 4 questions?
No, because he missed a couple of threes and then he hit one, and then you did take him out. Was there a temptation to?
No, I think that's, another assumption. I don't generally sub on missed shots. There are situations where, we put Corey in the game at a certain time versus zone. As long as, guys are taking good shots. And so Zach was in the game because he was defending, and rebounding. And when you do that, again, even though you miss one or miss two, I just think you're not thinking as much about, I've got to make my shot, in order to be successful. You do those other things and defend and rebound, and your team is successful.
How would you describe what Jalen Johnson was able to do offensively in the fourth quarter?
Yeah, we've one of the things that our players have talked about was, during the course of the game, feeling the game. And, I don't know, it was a couple games ago where Jalen didn't have that type of production from a point standpoint, but he made other plays, and tonight, I thought he attacked the rim. He didn't try to avoid contact. He went through it, and, you saw the result. The other thing, his catch and shoot threes continue to be, a really important part of his game, because people have to come up and guard him, and that gives him a chance to drive the ball. So, he's making the right play, and sometimes that right play is throwing a little lob to Dyson, and sometimes it's just getting on the rim, and sometimes it's, taking your jumper when people are playing off you. And I think he did all those things, and he did them really efficiently.
Coach, what did you see in the
one of his best games, I think?
What did you see in the 5 blowout wins that when the game was close in this particular game, you were still confident that they would pull it out?
I wouldn't call it blowout. That word. I don't know that the Milwaukee game felt like a blowout. I think we played well enough to break the game open, and the score ended up being that. But I think we've been defending, and then we've continued to defend, against teams when we've gotten down, and defense is what's brought us back. It was a 43-point second half, and I thought Philadelphia came out really strong, really aggressive, and that's one of the reasons we turned the ball over. And you can't defend when you turn the ball over, but some of those games, regardless of the score, I think the focus has been on us and what are the things that we need to do no matter who we're playing against. And, I thought the halftime, was like the mindset that we've got to get stops. And that's, that's how you win, is by playing defense. Good. All right. Thank you.
All right, let's get into the Xfinity upcoming schedule. This homestand continues Tuesday night against Cooper Flagg, who's back in the Dallas lineup, and the Mavericks. Then it's the Nets, a rematch with Giannis Antetokounmpo and the Bucks. The first of two remaining games against the Magic, and then that game against Dallas, start of a 2-game road trip in Texas. Check this out, Madison. Tonight was win number 3,000 for the franchise.
Wow.
Going back to the Tri-Cities, Milwaukee, St. Louis, and now Atlanta, the Hawks became the 6th team in NBA history to win 3K.
Wow. Did you find that stat?
Thanks to the helpful Hawks game notes.
Okay.
Yes, I did.
I love that. You learn something new every day. Hey, it's good to see with the Hawks, especially them stacking wins right now. 6 consecutive wins, the longest streak of the season. But most importantly, they're climbing those Eastern Conference standings with the win over Philadelphia tonight. Now Philly drops down to 8th. They were 6th.
Yep.
That big game next Monday, the 16th, against Orlando, going to be huge, as Orlando is now sitting in that 6th spot in the East. I know still plenty of basketball left to be played, but the more wins and the more easier, I hate saying easy, but the below 500 wins that you're supposed to win, the more of those that the Hawks can get.
Favor.
Yes.
Yeah. Home and against lesser opponents.
Yep,
I mean, we saw that at the All-Star break moving forward.
They're taking care of business.
Yes, that's exactly what you're supposed to do, right? And they still have Orlando to play head-to-head. They still have Miami. They'll finish the season as well. And Philly still has injuries and a suspension to deal with in the meantime. Hawks do take care of business as they've been doing. That's 6 straight with 4 left on this homestand. Jalen Johnson, great in crunch time. Maybe take a new level in terms of determination to attack. And the Hawks get the win. We'll see you here Tuesday night for pregame before the Hawks and the Mavericks. From Madison, I'm Matt. We'll talk to you then.